Hi Booktube, welcome back to my channel. My name is Juan. I am just one reader, and this is my wrap-up for the month of January 2019, the longest freaking month ever. So in the month of January, I managed to finish 8 books, and most of these 8 books I have already mentioned in book review sections or recent reads videos, the videos in which I discuss books with more dedication and in more depth. So if you are curious to know more of my thoughts and more, in-depth criticisms or opinions that I had regarding any of these 8 books, you can go and check out those other videos, which are called book reviews. So this video is going to be pretty quick. I will not mention a lot about each one of these books. I'm just going to mention the most important thing, whether I recommend it or not, and why. So the first book that I finished in January was The Luminaries by Eleanor Catton. I really enjoyed this, not so much for the book itself, like in terms of plot, in terms of character, in terms of the world. I liked it, but I think my appreciation for this book is greater than the enjoyment or the satisfaction that I had. Basically, this book really blew me away on many different levels. The writing, the structure, the incredible feat of writing that it is. And I also really enjoyed reading this because it made me realize that I am able to read a big, difficult, complex book such as this one. It's a book that used to intimidate me like none other. And so the fact that I was able to read this very quickly and be able to understand it and digest it easily was a very satisfying thing in and of itself. So in the end, I think I gave this book 3 or 4 stars. Honestly, I don't really remember, but I would absolutely recommend it. I actually made a separate book review or book recommendation video for this book because I think there are many reasons why you should try and read this huge 830 page long book. So that was The Luminaries. The next book that I read was Broadway Nights by Seth Rudetsky. This is a fabulous sort of rom-com story about these people who are living in New York trying to make it on Broadway. It's all about the show, the Broadway business. It's so funny and delightful and charming. And if you enjoy Broadway, if you enjoy learning about the history of Broadway or the backstage part of the business, this is very enjoyable. It also has, a lot of romance and it's a little bit melodramatic, but I just had a blast. I think I gave this book 4 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed it, and it is by Seth Rudetsky, whom I love. So I would recommend it for those reasons. The next book that I finished was Never Let Me Go by Kazuo Ishiguro, a book that I had always felt very strangely about. Every single time that I considered picking this book up from the shelf and reading it, something stopped me, something made me put it back on the shelf and not read it. And I don't even know what that was about. But yeah, I had a weird relationship with the book before I actually started reading it. And in the end, I think I enjoyed it pretty much. I think it's a weird book. I think it's a book that, pretty much like The Luminaries, is not exactly satisfying or enjoyable in terms of the story or the reading experience itself, but it sort of grows on you once you're done with it. So it's a book that is sort of still lingering around me. It's still like in the corners of my mind somewhere, and I thought there were many things worth of discussion in this book, and I gave it 3 stars, but it was a weird book. It's a haunting little book, and I would recommend it. I mean, it's a very quick read, and it does have a lot of food for thought. The next book I would not recommend, and that was Young People's Concerts by Leonard Bernstein. This is pretty much a written version, like a transcript of some concerts, actual live concerts that Leonard Bernstein performed with a big orchestra in New York in the 1970s. And what he did was, these were like classes that he imparted to young people talking about different musical concepts. I would not recommend this book just because it doesn't really feel like what Bernstein wanted us to get. A written version of this is good, it's informative. I enjoyed some parts of it, but ultimately I would not recommend it just because there's a lot of music in here, and in a book you cannot experience the music. You can just read the music, and so it's not the same. It's kind of an incomplete experience, and I didn't really like it, even though I enjoyed many chapters of it that I thought were really informative. It was just not a great experience. It was very incomplete. The next book that I read, that I finished, was The Ruby in the Smoke. This is the first book in the Sally Lockhart Mysteries series by Philip Pullman. It was so enjoyable. This was a reread for me. I read this book for the first time when I was, I don't know, I must have been like 12, 11, 12, 13. And it was great revisiting these characters, this world, and of course Philip Pullman's writing is just delicious. If you're looking for something that is very, very easy, that you can read in a day, literally, this is great YA thriller fiction. Really good. The next book that I read is probably my favorite book of the year so far. It's a book that just had a lot of the right ingredients of what I'm looking for in a book, and that was The Heart's Invisible Furies by John Boyne. I also did a separate book review for this, in which I talk about the tone of the book, the sarcasm, the sarcasm, the sort of the use of humor, and how the author John Boyne weaves the humor with this horrible, important, heavy, dark stuff. This is a story about a gay man who is living his life, and we follow his journey through life. It is delicious. It is charming. It is filled with quirky little characters and situations. It's very farcical, so it's very over the top and melodramatic, but I thought it was delicious, unputdownable. I thought it was just so incredible, and I gave it 4 stars. Not quite a 5-star book for me, but I just really, really think very fondly of this book. Really fondly. The following book that I have is Vida Nostra by Marina and Sergei Dichenko. This was written originally in Russian, and only now has it been translated to English by Julia Maitov-Hersey. This is a weird book. I'm not even sure if I liked it. Like, I'm not even sure that I enjoyed myself while reading it or after having read it. I'm not sure this book is supposed to be enjoyable or satisfying or entertaining. I don't think that's what the book wants to be or needs to be. The book is incredibly different and special and unique. Some people have been talking about this book and have said that this is like a Harry Potter for grown-ups. It is not like Harry Potter for adults. It is not like that at all. This is pretty much in its own category. It's very different, and that is both positive and negative. I was able to enjoy or appreciate the book for how different and weird it was. It's just bizarre. But at the same time, I'm not sure I liked it. I'm not sure I saw really great qualities, and I don't know, I'm just very confused about this book. It's confusing, but it's worth reading. I will tell you that it is worth reading, just to see how you handle a weird book like that one. And finally, the last book that I finished in the month of January was probably my most disappointing book of the year so far. It wasn't terrible, it's not the worst thing ever, but I was expecting to be absolutely, like, I was expecting to have a literary orgasm with this book, and I thought it was not really good. Bel Canto by Ann Patchett. This book was so disappointing because I really had a lot of expectations, very high expectations for it. It's a book that, on paper, on theory, I should have really, really loved. It's literary fiction, it's a character-driven novel. It's about people who are locked, literally, and find themselves in this very complicated situation, very dramatic situation. And on top of everything else, it's a book that features music and, in particular, opera. Very much like opera music, Bel Canto is pretty much at the center of this book. There's a lot of talk about, a lot of descriptions of people's love for music or through music. And yet, I could not get on board with this book. I did not like it. I liked certain moments, certain descriptions, very few here and there, but overall, I thought it was not the right book for me in any way. I thought the characters were very weakly drawn. I did not buy them. I did not really care for them. I thought the writing style was really overblown, and it was so sugary that it gave me diabetes. I am now a diabetic thanks to this book. Ugh, I really did not like the writing style. It is so overblown and sort of romantic and lush, but not in a good way. Because I do enjoy writing styles that are a little bit, flowery and descriptive and romantic and sort of beautiful. But this was not good for me. This was like, oh, please stop. I thought the plot was ridiculous. I did not buy any single thing that happened in this book. And on top of everything else, I thought the descriptions of music, of opera, of singing were so basic and so badly done. I really did not like it. It was not the right book for me, and I know that a lot of people really like this book. I know for a fact that Jason from Old Blues Chapter and Verse and Sean the Book Maniac, I know they love this book, and you know what? I kind of see why. That's weird. I kind of see what it is about this book that makes some readers really love it, but I really, really disliked it. And again, there are certain moments, passages in this book that are really beautiful, but it's not worth it. And to top things off, there's an epilogue in this book that literally made me want to throw up and kill myself afterwards. It was like the cherry on top of everything else. It was terrible. So, would I recommend this book? No. Would I recommend opera? Yes. Actually, let's go and sing some opera. Let's do some Carmen.
Votre temps je peux vous le rendre, Seigneur, Seigneur, car avec les soldats, oui, les toreros peuvent s'entendre, pour plaisir, ils sont le combat. Le cirque plat, ce jour de fête, le cirque plat de haut en bas. Les spectateurs perdent la tête, les spectateurs s'interpellent à grave fracas, apostrophe, crisée d'apage, poussée jusqu'à la fureur. Car c'est la fête du courage, c'est la fête des gens de cœur, allons, en garde, allons, allons, toreador, en garde, toreador, et songe bien, oui, songe un combattant, quand le noir te regarde, que l'amour t'attend, toreador, l'amour t'attend.